Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Unbettable podcast. I'm Mondo here with Holmes, and as usual, Mr. Gary Gowdy at the bottom. He's in the pitch black for some unknown reason. I don't really know, but we're going with it. On today's episode, we got a bunch to cover. World Series starts tonight, 8:03 p.m. Diamondbacks Rangers. We're gonna hit on that. Biggest NBA surprises of the week. We got a little CFB preview headed out by Holmes, and we'll send it back to me for an NFL preview. And at the end, we got a little special segment. I've had people be DMing me their fantasy football questions for this weekend. So we'll answer those in our own little fantasy football corner. But without further ado, let's get into it. World Series Game 1, Diamondbacks at Rangers. Rangers money line minus 160. Game tonight's on Fox. It's going to be a banger, boys. It's going to be a straight banger. The talent in this World Series, despite the fact that, not many people know who they are. If you're a true baseball fan, you know that this is going to be electric regardless. So I'll let one of you kick it off. If you have any bets or any previews you want to talk about, just go for it, man.
Well, I'm gonna start off by saying I got the Diamondbacks in this series. I didn't believe last series; they proved me wrong. We're on the Diamondbacks train now, and I saw this today, and I had to share this. Randy Johnson hit a bird back in 2001.
Yeah,
You remember what happened back in 2001? The Arizona Diamondbacks won the World
it's
Series.
like deja vu.
Does anybody remember the beginning of this year? Zach Gallen, in a warm-up session, drilled a bird in the beginning of the season. Very unknown, forgotten about, happened way at the beginning of the season. It was not publicized like the Randy Johnson one. That happened this year. Coincidence? Maybe. We'll find out.
Is it a
Apparently,
coincidence?
also, all of the dates in the World Series games in 2001 are the exact same dates as this year in 2023. And finally, the All-Star game was held in Seattle this year. In 2001, can you guess where the All-Star game was held? In Seattle. Yes, in Seattle. The Diamondbacks are winning this series.
The stars have
That's all I have to
aligned
say.
for the D-backs. Here we go. Gary, what are your thoughts heading into this
All
series?
I have to say.
Uh, yeah, I think it's interesting, the lore behind all this bird beating and all that. But statistically, the Rangers are the better team. Just purely based on wins, batting averages, hits, home runs, all that. But I do see this being a contested series just because both teams are kind of on the same level. Obviously, they're both playing in the World Series. They've both proven themselves. Both great teams. But I'm gonna predict a Rangers World Series win in Game 7. That's my prediction.
So we're split so far, right? That's what it seems like. All right. Well, let me give you my take. Um, so tonight I think it's guaranteed the Rangers win. Zach Allen has looked horrible this postseason. He's got a 5.24 ERA. Evaldi, we already know that man dices when it comes to playoff baseball, and he's the one on the bump tonight. With that being said, you also have a lot of veteran leadership in the Rangers clubhouse, which plays a lot into kind of the emotional side of the game. And you also have these young talent guys like Garcia, who's he's coming in just absolutely raking. If he can keep his emotions in check and not get into his head as the game goes on, the dude's gonna continue to be unstoppable. So my prediction, I'm gonna take Rangers 4-2. I think it'll go Rangers, D-backs, Rangers, Rangers, D-backs, Rangers. So I'm laying it all out there. That's my takeaway. That's just how I'm feeling. But I know people are saying it's going to be a low ratings World Series. It's not. This talent is
No.
unreal. The emotions are at an all-time high, and when you have young players like this that are getting this first shot at the World Series, there is not going to be any like crazier time in sports. I promise you
Mhm.
that. Just watch. Just watch. It's going to go wild. I promise. I
Guaranteed.
promise. So yeah, World Series starts tonight. As far as lines go, I said Texas money line 160, over under as at 8.5. Capacity projections 40K. Don't really know if anyone cares about that, but I just figured I'd list it. Also, we got a solid umpire crew tonight. AKA, there's no Angel Hernandez anywhere on that fucking sheet. So
There we go.
can't be that bad. But yeah, World Series game one. Let's get excited. Let's get rowdy. Here we go. May the best team win. It's just
That'd be
nice
sick.
not really having to pick a side this time. But
Yeah.
over to NBA. We know first week of the NBA season was this week. I was curious to see if you guys had any kind of takeaways so far. I know we're only like 1 or 2 games in for some teams, but if there's any surprises that you want to talk about, because I know I have one, but I'll let you guys kind of lead it off.
Man, I don't know if I have much really to say in terms of surprises. I guess one thing that I was predicting that did come true. The Thunder looked very good in night one. I think they're going to be a really, really scary team this year. They have way too much young talent on that team, I think, now to be in the position that they've been for like the past 3-4 years. Very mediocre, bottom of the barrel team. They're going to be nice this year, and having them plus 2.5 the other night, that was one of the easiest bets I've had in the NBA for a while. So I like what the Thunder are going to be doing as a young team, and the Magic as well. I'm a Magic homer, living in Orlando the past couple of years. You guys know this, but I think the Magic are going to be pretty good as well. I like the cast of characters they got over there, man. The coach is in his second year. He's starting to get stuff figured out with the Magic. I like what they got in Orlando.
Gare?
Yeah, I was gonna touch on the Magic. The Magic actually looked really good in the first game of the season. I think the score was like 116-86, which is a pretty sizable beating in the
Yeah.
NBA. Another thing that was really good is attendance was super high. I think there was only about 50 seats that weren't filled in the Amway. And for Orlando, that's huge because I've been to a couple Magic games and you go there and it's like, is there even a game being played tonight?
Yeah.
There's usually nobody there. And I think it's good that, Central Florida is kind of starting to get hyped about their home teams. For example, you got, Orlando City, the Pride, you have Magic. I think it's good for Central Florida sports culture. Another thing that kind of not necessarily surprised me. The Suns are looking really good. Started off 2-0, beat the Warriors and the Lakers. I definitely think that's a good team to watch this year. The last thing that surprised me was seeing Shador on court side for the Nuggets. I think that he has other things he should be worrying about at this point in time besides being courtside at a basketball game. But they're college kids, they're gonna have fun. But it just kind of stresses me out when you have this quarterback that has so much on his back and he's just chilling courtside with his dad and his homeboy. It's just like not really a good look.
Mm-hmm. So I have 3 takeaways right away. One, this year's MVP race is going to be between Luka and Jokic. I think that was pretty obvious coming into the year, but just in the first game alone, both of them had triple doubles. I think it just easily solidifies it off the bat. I don't really think anyone else is going to be close. I think it's going to be between those two throughout the entire stretch of the year, unless someone gets hurt. And then another thing, I think the Spurs are a sleeper team this year. I know there's a lot of Wemby hype, but there's a lot of talent around Wemby that nobody talks about. You got Keldon, small forward. You got Vassell and Sochan, your guards. You got Trey Jones. Like, there's a lot of talent on that team. If they're contending down the stretch and, they can pick up a piece or two at the trade deadline, I really would not be shocked to see them make a run this year. It would not surprise me at all. Obviously, Wemby's got a lot to prove as a rookie, but if they keep up with this system that they're running so far, I know they're 0-1, but they didn't look half bad. They really didn't. So I could see the San Antonio Spurs making a deep run in the playoffs. Book it here. I may throw a future down on them. We'll see, but I don't know. I'm feeling good about them.
Oh yeah.
The final takeaway, most important. I don't want anyone to ever forget this shit. The East runs through Miami. Let me rephrase that. The Miami Heat have been to 3 of the last 4 Eastern Conference Finals. They have won 2 of them. They have been to the finals twice. And everyone's worried that the Heat are worse than last year. In that entire finals run, Tyler Hero was out. We didn't have real size behind Bam. There were a lot of missing pieces on that team. And yeah, we lost Gabe Vincent and we lost Strus. Yeah, we replaced them with fucking Jay Rich and, Thomas Bryant and all these other guys. It's still going to run through Miami. I don't care who you are. The Celtics are going to have injuries. Jaylen Brown is worse at dribbling than I am. I mean, you got, I don't know, the Bucks. Oh, the Bucks are so scary, man. They're going to let up 150 points a game. No one plays defense on that team. No one, it just doesn't matter. The East runs through Miami. It always has. It always will. That's a promise. We'll see you in the finals again this year. Book it, future. Lock that one in too. So those are my 3 takeaways from
Wow.
the NBA in just 10 games. So
Lock the Heat in. Wow.
yeah,
big.
I'm confident. Granted, I am a Heat fan, but lock that shit in. I'm so serious.
All right. All right. Damn.
But yeah, that was just a quick recap of some NBA headlines that we were looking into. Also, I don't know if you guys saw this. Dwight Howard basically said to F off, I'll stick my meat where I want. So that's our update on the Dwight Howard situation. Good for him.
That man's crazy.
But we'll send it
That man's
over to
crazy.
Holmes, who's gonna lead us in college football. Take it away.
All right, sick, man. Let's get into the picks. This is going to be a tough slate this weekend. I'm just going to say this right now. Some weird matchups this weekend, some weird lines. I was digging for literally anything that I could find that seemed like it was feasible to bet and had some good value. So, why don't we start at the top? We'll start with the noon games. Let's see here. Sorry, I gotta get this fucking schedule up on my phone right now. All right. Only noon game. A couple noon games. First one, Texas A&M at home against South Carolina. Texas A&M, the line is now at -17. Now, I was able to get this line at -14 earlier in the week, so that is a play that I'm going to be riding with tomorrow. Texas A&M at home, their defense is fantastic. Spencer Rattler is horrid on the road. It is no longer Cocktober. They have 2 L's in a row in October. One thanks to Florida, and then that last week Missouri handled South Carolina in Missouri. This is another spot where South Carolina on the road. Spencer Rattler notoriously does not perform well on the road. I like Texas A&M to get a nice, sizable win here. At home, defense is going to show up. I like Texas A&M to wrap that one up. UCF, West Virginia. UCF is at home laying 6.5 points. I'm really not going to touch the spread in this because that is a hard one for me to pick. West Virginia has actually looked pretty decent this year. Coming into the year, I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to be anywhere near the mid or top of the Big 12, but they have actually proved their way to being a pretty decent team in that division. And meanwhile, UCF has not gotten a Big 12 win yet. They are still looking for it. They're 3 out of conference wins to open the season, and they have dropped 4 straight since then. I'm just riding with John Rice Plumlee over 1.5 pass touchdowns in this game. I think John Rice is going to absolutely need to ball out for his team. He looks like he's fully healthy. He's ready to go. He showed out against a tough Oklahoma Sooners defense, and they got really close to pulling off that upset. So I like at home John Rice to at least throw for 2 scores here. It seems like he's trying to use his arm a little bit more than his legs lately. So I'm gonna put my money on that and see if John Rice can cash me up with a little pass TD prop. Let's see. Let's move into the 3:30 games. This is where shit's just gonna get real tough, man, because this is where I just don't know what the hell I'm gonna be doing. Okay, so not 3:30, but 4 o'clock. USC goes to California. USC has dropped 2 straight and looked like booty doing it. Their defense is absolutely garbage, but we're gonna take them. I mean, it's not a very great California team. Just to be up by a touchdown at the half, -6.5 in the first half. USC offense gets out to the fast starts every time. Their defense is always selling them, but I like at least a touchdown margin here at the half. I'm booking that USC -6.5 first half. Go down the list a little bit. Now we're starting to get into the prime time 7 o'clock games. Tennessee -3.5. I really like this line here because I think Tennessee's getting disrespected a little bit at Kentucky. You guys know, as Florida fans, we do not feel like we should have gotten even close to getting blown out to Kentucky at Kentucky. I do not think they're a real team whatsoever. Devin Leary is very turnover prone. I think the Tennessee defense is going to put some pressure on him. And Joe Milton came off of an embarrassing second half performance last week against Alabama. If you don't think that offense is trying to get it going for 60 minutes against a decent SEC opponent, and I think you're dead wrong. I think 3.5, we could have gotten a better number there, but the 3.5 was not budging all week. I wish I could have gotten 3. I was thinking about buying the point, but we're just going to stick with 3.5 here because I still like Tennessee to get a decent win here against Kentucky. Ole Miss at home against Vanderbilt. I'm taking Ole Miss at the half, -13 to be up by 2 scores. Ole Miss has been, I think, one of the best first quarter teams in the country so far this year. They get off to incredibly fast starts, especially being at home against a very bad Vanderbilt team. I like Ole Miss to run it up here, try and make a good statement. They're 12th ranked in the AP poll, so they put up a really good showing here against an SEC opponent at home. They'll definitely get some brownie points for that. Wisconsin at home hosting Ohio State. I'm gonna take Wisconsin +15. I think this is a tough spot right here for Ohio State. They're coming off of a big win at against Penn State last week. Did a great job of getting that win and covering, but now having to travel to Wisconsin, the offense just doesn't put up very many points. So I see this being a very close game. Wisconsin's defense has looked really nice so far under Luke Fickell. So if you're giving me over 2 scores in this game, and I think it'll be a lot closer of a margin than that, then I'm going to ride Wisconsin here. Then in the late game, no, not late. I guess it is at 7:30. I thought it was like a 10 o'clock game. Pac-12, UCLA against Colorado. UCLA at home. I am laying the points -17 against Colorado. I am just right now on the fade Colorado train. UCLA has looked very nice at home. Again, when Dante Moore is not playing a very stingy top defense, he looks really nice and that offense gets rolling. So I like them to definitely cover this against a struggling Colorado team that has not looked good against top opponents. And hell, they didn't even look that good against Stanford. So I am rolling with UCLA to cover 17 there. And then the best for last, I skipped it in the 3:30 window. Florida, Georgia. I'm a goddamn homer. I am a goddamn homer. I am taking Florida to cover this game 14.5. I definitely think there is a chance Graham Mertz puts on a show and somehow pulls out a 3-point win. This could be a wilder game than a lot of us are expecting. I know people think that Georgia, maybe they're not as good as they have been in recent seasons, and maybe they haven't been. Now they don't have Brock Bowers. I think there's a shot here. Coming off of the bye week, this was the perfect time to have the bye week for Florida. You get that rest, you put your game plan together, and for 2 weeks, you figure out what the hell you're going to do against the number 1 team in the country. I like us to definitely keep it between 2 scores right here. And shit, I might even sprinkle a little bit on the money line for shits and giggles. 8 plays, that's what we're going with. CFB this weekend.
Lock it in. Yeah.
Lock it in.
I just didn't want to interrupt your rhythm. You had a good one going. So I just wanted to sit there and watch. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. Florida's going to smoke the shit out of Georgia this weekend, and I can't fucking wait for it.
Come on.
I'm so excited.
We need it.
How excited are you, Gary?
Dude,
Crazy.
I honestly, I can't wait to watch this tomorrow. Like, I'm home, so the environment's going to be a little different, but watching it with my parents, like, I might dabble with a couple beers here and there, just to ease the nerves. But we got a good thing going here. I mean, Florida is looking like a football team again, and I love it. Like it makes me truly excited. Another big thing, a big factor is the GOAT, Steve Spurrier, came out and talked to the boys before the game,
Damn.
Hated.
and was gassing them up. And I think that's what they need. I think they need a little hype. Going to Jacksonville, they say it's neutral ground, but I always like to think that there's more Georgia fans there than Florida fans. That's just usually how it rolls. But they need all the hype they can get. And I think, having that little GOAT talk, I like Florida to win by a tutty. I know Holmes was saying by 3. I like Florida by a tutty. Actually, Gators by 90. Gators by 90. That's what I like. But
Let's
There it
get
is. There it is.
Ladies and
There it
gentlemen,
is.
it is time for a little roast. Georgia is fucking ass. Jewel God Carson Beck is ugly as hell. That man looks like a thumb that got super glued the googly eyes on it. He is disgustingly horrible at football. Without Brock Bowers, Georgia looks fucking lost. I am ready to personally go out on that field and smoke the fucking Georgia pack. They aren't shit. They are overhyped. We are coming for them. 14-point spread isn't enough. It should be a 3-point spread at most, and it should be in Florida's favor. Georgia ain't shit. I stand on it. I pray on it, and I believe in it. That is a fact. That is a guarantee. We have Heismerts tomorrow. We got Ricky Pearsall making the greatest catches of all time. We have that boy Etienne in the backfield, juking and jiving. We are elite. It is time to believe in it again. We are back, and we are going to show you all tomorrow. That's a guarantee, right?
Yeah, I got a question real quick. Hey, Carson Beck, is this you right here? Because I think it is. If you can read that bottom line, it says, not trying to be weird, but especially when your tits are out, gets my shit on hard immediately. That's your quarterback, Georgia, by the way, if you didn't know that.
You want to see their quarterback? I'll show you their ugly ass quarterback, bruh. Let's get into it. This man is the ugliest motherfucker I have seen in my life. How do I share this bitch?
He's right there with Spencer Rattler. They gotta be top
Look
two.
at this fucking guy. How do I zoom? I think it's Control Z. No, it's not. I don't know how to zoom.
Command plus.
Here's the zoom. God, look at that ugly motherfucker, man. Georgia fans, that's who's going to lose you guys this season. That's who's going to lose the game tomorrow. This guy. Oh, what the fuck just happened? This guy. Georgia, you are trash. I know this is a betting podcast. I know we're supposed to take it serious. But I'll be damned if I ignore this matchup tomorrow. This is the biggest cocktail party on the planet. You know why? Because Florida is fucking smoking you. That's why. Let's go. I'm ready. Holmes is ready.
I love it.
He's ready.
I love it.
We're all fucking ready for you. Now I gotta zoom out. So you guys talk for a minute. I gotta figure this out so we can do NFL.
Let's talk about Baker Mayfield.
Oh God, I exited out. Oh no.
Yeah, we do. A quick little TNF recap. Garrett, do you want to get it kicked off? What do you want to do about that?
I say it every week. Give me Kyle Trask, but this game, I don't know like how I really feel about it because the Bills got so much hype on them going to Buffalo. It's going to be a tough game. I mean, there ain't shit to do in Buffalo except go see the Bills play. So the whole city is going to ride out for that primetime game. But I don't know. I feel like, I'm just on repeat. Like the Bills only play as good as their opponent does. We only got beat by 6, right? It was 24-18. But one thing that really pissed me off was the very end when Baker threw that Hail Mary. And I can't remember who it was in the end zone, but I saw a clip on Twitter today where he just completely had his back turned. And if he simply would have been facing the other direction, he would have caught that winning pass. And I
100%.
just think the Bucks look sloppy, bro. Like Baker, I mean, he can't do anything except throw little 3-yard slants, and it's getting annoying. It's getting old, and then he like runs for 25 yards all of a sudden, and he gets up like he's the king of the world, even though we're down by 2 touchdowns. Like, it's starting to piss me off. Like, I'm not even like gonna like make a meme about it and say, give me Kyle Trask. Like, it's just getting old. Like, he doesn't look like he wants to be there. Another thing that really pisses me off is Todd Bowles. I mean, every time they pan the camera to him, he's like this. Like, he's just does not change his face no matter what. It like looks like he doesn't even care. And as a fan, that's like super upsetting to know that your head coach is just like kind of there to get a paycheck and doesn't really give a fuck about the outcome. But the Bucks really need to tighten up and figure this shit out because it's getting old.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I mean, we just looked so inept on offense. It's kind of embarrassing a little bit. It's Todd Bowles. I've said it for a couple of years. He's not cut out to be a head coach. I respect the man. He's a great defensive coordinator. He knows how to dial it up on the defensive side. But as a head coach, he doesn't have the personality, man. He doesn't have that it factor that the coaches need to rally these group of men together. It's just you can see it. You touched on it, how stoic he is on the sidelines, like no facial expressions. He barely moves. I mean, it doesn't even look like he's having fun when we're winning. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's getting a little frustrating for me as well. I definitely understand that. It's just I think there's a lot of the Bucks trying to put too much emphasis on trying to run the ball too. That's not what we're good at, dude. We have top tier wide receivers. Use them. Mike was barely targeted last night. When he was, I mean, what? We really getting called back for a penalty. Baker was missing him on a throw. I mean, like, we have to get him and Godwin involved to the fullest extent. We've seen it. Rashad White is not explosive through the tackles. He is not doing anything for us game changing on the ground. Like, it's not happening. So focus a lot more on the pass game, refine the pass game. That is what is actually starting to work for us a little bit. We gotta stop with we're gonna run literally every first down and then almost every second down too, be 3rd and 8 and then have to figure it out. And then 75% of the time we're not even getting it because it's 3rd and 8. How often are we going to complete that with Baker Mayfield? So yeah, I am with you, Gary. It has been a pretty frustrating road so far, but I will say, Betts went 3 for 3 on the night. Rashad White over his reception yards, Dalton Kincaid over his reception yards, and Josh Allen threw a pick. Went 3 for 3. Felt really good about that. If you're not following yet, follow me on Action Sports. Download the app at AustinHart7_. You can track all my picks, find everything there, and follow us on the Twitter. Unbettable. It is always being filled with picks. Thursday night football, Saturday before college, Sunday before NFL, and we always have picks throughout the week on NBA, NHL, all the stuff that we want to drop.
For Plus Money as a podcast, there's not much more you need to say. Between 3 people, you can walk away with cash in your pocket today. Like, it's literally that easy. But yeah, just to kind of touch on Thursday night football, I think your pass game starts to succeed a little bit if you start being able to dump it off to Rashad White. Like, he's obviously not a physical runner. He's proven that time and time again. Like you said, between the tackles, he is terrible. But if you sprinkle in some screen passes, some short out routes, like, then that's when you kind of spread the defense a little bit more and you have more action on the outsides, more one-on-one coverage for Mike Ev, more slant route ability for Chris Godwin. Like, there's a lot more opportunities you can capitalize on when your running back is not being used as a one-dimensional player. And that's what the Bucks are missing right now. That's what they had with Lenny. They had it with him. He was doing both, and they were succeeding. Granted, they had Tom Brady, but it doesn't matter. If you can have a multi-dimensional running back and you build your offense from there out, you're good to go.
Yeah.
On the other side, though, the Bills look good. I mean, Josh Allen, INT, is kind of a lock, but he looked good. Cook is doing his thing. Stephon Diggs kind of had a down game, mostly as a decoy, but even that it was just a solid win for the Bills. 24-18 is what it is.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and we'll get into the preview for Sunday. So Pats at Dolphins. Dolphins 3-0 at home. Obviously, we know their offense have been electric this year. Perhaps some rumors of Mr. Jalen Ramsey coming back to the lineup this weekend.
Nice.
Spread currently 9.5 in favor of Miami, over under 46.5. I obviously like the Finns. That's not really a surprise to anyone. Tyreek Hill is basically a lock for a touchdown, as is Raheem Mostert. That defense on the Patriots, it's just non-existent. Like, there is nobody there to step up to the weapons we have. I'm gonna stay away from any sort of lines or over-unders until I see if we're getting X and Ramsey back. Because if not, I could see the Pats popping off for a couple points here and there. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand. Holmes, what about you?
I'll probably honestly take the Dolphins spread in this one. I have -10 for +100 right now, and that honestly looks pretty good to me. I think the Dolphins are going to roll here at home. The Patriots are not a good football team.
Nope.
I think they won their Super Bowl last week against the Bills, got a great win. Mac Jones is on top of the world. Tua has dominated Bill Belichick in their matchups together. So I am definitely going to take the Dolphins to show out here. And especially, I think it's important that if you want to get this 9.5, 10 line, it's probably important to lock it in now, because if the news drops that both Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey are back, that line's going to dip down even more. Could get to -13 range. So if you want that better number, it's probably good to jump on it now if you like it.
Okay, Gare.
I like the over in this game. Like we're saying, we have 2 locks already, 4 tutties. And that's just discounting the Patriots at that point. And 46, I feel like, isn't necessarily a big number for Miami to cover. I mean, we've seen them put up the numbers in games previous to this one. New England, like we said, looked pretty good last week. So I think both teams will put up some scores. I'm going to take the over.
Okay. Texans at Panthers, the first poop bowl of the day. Texans, it's -3 in their favor. I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to take that spread all day long. Over under 43.5. I feel like this game is going to go under, but we'll see what happens. I don't trust either offense that much. I do think Dameon Pierce is back this week, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see what happens there. CJ Stroud's obviously been the best rookie QB of the year so far. So I think it'll be an easy win for the Texans. I don't think the Panthers are going to get their first win this season. But we'll see. Garrett, let's start with you this time.
See, I'm the opposite. I like the Panthers to get their first win here. I mean, I don't really know anything about either team. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. But looking at the spread, a -3 spread, I think if the Panthers want to have a single fan attending their game by the end of the season, they need to win here. I was reading some stuff today about how the Panthers are actually having issues with their fans in the stands, becoming quote unquote irate during the games, causing problems because their team sucks ass. So I think if the Panthers want to stay in the NFL, I think they need to win here. So I'm just going to go ahead and outright take Carolina money line. I know it's a stretch. You don't have to take me here. This is just kind of one of those things where I have a feeling there's not really any basis behind it. But I'm going to say Carolina money line.
Holmes?
Yeah, I'm side with you, Mondo. I'm probably going to lean toward that Texans spread. I think the 3 is a good number there, especially for push potential. But I think the Texans are a better team, not by much. But CJ Stroud, like you're saying, he's the best rookie quarterback so far this year. The Panthers are just not that team right now. They have a long way to go to build around Bryce Young. I lean toward the under in that game as well. I don't see a ton of scoring really happening here. But I will say I will probably jump on a couple of props. The first one that I'm seeing right now, Bryce Young to throw a pick, is only -105. I really like that. I think the Texans defense are a little bit better than people give them credit for.
Mhm.
And I could totally see the value being there for Bryce Young to throw a pick, especially at minus 105. I think you get a really good number there. And Adam Thielen, I'm probably going to take his over reception yards. I might lock that in right now. He's at 67.5. He has gotten that 4 weeks in a row, every week since week 3. His target share has been ridiculous in this offense. So the receiving yard 67.5 seems a little bit low to me. So I'm probably going to jump on that. And now that I say that, over 5.5 receptions looks really nice as well. He has had 11 receptions in 3 of his past 4 games. That's absurd. I think that number is way too low. Coming off a bye, I think there's a lot of potential to bet on Adam Thielen here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. As someone who recently traded Adam Thielen, I'm kind of regretting it, but Gary, I hope you're happy. He's fucking so good. Rams at Cowboys. Dallas favored by 6. Over under 45.5. Cowboys are undefeated at home this year. Granted, it's only 2 games, but the offense is starting to click a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of a poop bowl. It's kind of not. It's one of those mediocre games that I'm not too sure which way I'm leaning. I feel like Cooper Kupp could snag a TD this game. I feel like that's not that crazy. And I really don't have much else like that. I don't know which way I'm leaning. I'm gonna be honest here. It's a tough one. So I'll let you guys take over. Holmes.
Yeah, this is a tough game to pick. If I were to lead in any way, it's probably the Cowboys to cover. That I have a minus 6.5 number right now. That's pretty good for the Cowboys to win by a touchdown, but it's a little bit hard for me to trust the Cowboys, how up and down they can be. I don't know. I think this could be a decent spot for the Rams to edge some type of win out, maybe get an outright win. Maybe there could be value on the Rams at plus 215 on the money line to get a win in Dallas. Just pull something kind of out of their ass here. But like you said, it's. I think it's tough to feel this game out. I would not be confident putting any of my money on this game.
Yep. Gary?
Yeah. As a diehard Bucks fan, I hate the Cowboys. That's just kind of how it is. But one thing that kind of stuck with me this morning, well, it didn't really stick with me. I thought it was funny. We all know how Stephen A feels about the Cowboys. And Cowboys head coach was talking in a press conference about how he's receiving a lot of criticism for the way he's coaching this team. And Stephen A told him to quote unquote suck it up. And I thought that was pretty funny. Besides that, I like the Rams spread this game. I think that they could keep it close. And I also like, I'm not Mondo, but for my anytime action, I need a Cooper Kupp touchdown. If it doesn't happen this week, I might kill Johnny Mondo. But we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, no, I understand. Vikings at Packers. Vikings favored by 1.5, over under 42. I think this is going to be one of those battles this weekend. I don't see either team being able to pull it away. Packers, they start off kind of hot, look like shit as of late, and it's kind of based on, Love's turnovers. The Vikings, on the other hand, I think that they had a breakout weekend last weekend. They looked really good, offensively at least, but I'm definitely favoring that Vikings spread minus 1.5. I think that's like basically saying it's a coin flip, and I really don't think it is. Yeah, I mean they're 2-1 on the road. They're trying to be in a position to where when JJ gets back, they can compete, which is, it's kind of how it's looking so far. So they need to keep winning. I think they will. So I'm gonna take that minus 1.5. Gare?
I like the Vikings here. Like Mondo was saying, they played really good last week against the Niners. I was really, really shocked by that outcome. And so is my wallet. But it is what it is. We keep pushing. But I think Kirk right now is playing pretty good football. The way he's playing right now kind of looks like he just doesn't want to lose his job, which is respectable and understandable. I just hope he keeps it up against these lower tier teams such as the Packers. I also like a Madison Tutty. I was saying it last week. He didn't get it, got very close. But it is what it is. I think he's due for one. So again, I'm gonna take the Vikings here, for the spread. And yeah.
Holmes?
Yeah, I'll probably ride the Vikings here on the money line. I'm with you guys. I think Vikings got a great win last week at home against San Francisco. Really turned, I think, the tables for their season. If they lost that game, there's going to be a lot of different discussions up there in Minnesota about how the season was going to be handled the rest of the way. But I think there's a lot of value here. I think the Vikings only being minus 125 on the money line. I think that's really great right there, having this game as a pick 'em. I think it really just is like that because Lambeau Field's a pretty decent home field advantage and it is a divisional game. But yeah, I got to ride Kirk here just because I think he's been playing really well. He showed out in prime time against a good defense. So hats off to him. I might even ride his over 250 and a half passing yards. I think that also might be a little bit low just with how much they've been depending on the pass game. Madison really has not like broken out as a true top tier RB1. They've been mixing in Cam Akers as well, but I think they've just been finding too much success in the air with Hawkinson and Addison and Osborne. So I could see Kurt going over that prop.
Nice. On to another 1:00 game. Falcons at Titans. Falcons are 1-2 on the road. Titans have been 2-1 at home. They've looked pretty good when they've been at home. Ritter is ass. Let's just throw that out there. Somehow he's probably the better QB of the two, so I'm definitely taking an under here. I have under 42.5 on my screen. And then the line is Atlanta minus 2.5. I don't know how I feel about that yet, just given that the Falcons tend to suck on the road. So I may actually take the Titans plus 2.5 this weekend. Not really sure how I'm feeling yet, but that's kind of where I'm sitting. Dare?
Um, I mean, both these teams are kind of just cheeks. But it is what it is. Not much you can do about it. I'm gonna stay away from the spread here. Just feel because I feel like it is gonna be a contested game. Both teams have sizable differences in their records. But I think both teams are kind of on the same tier. If that makes any sense. So for this, I'm just gonna take a Derrick Henry touchdown. I don't think the Falcons have a good enough run defense to stop Henry. And honestly, I think the Falcons coach has been too stuck up with getting interviewed by ESPN and various other sport broadcasters and actually coaching his team. I feel like every single time I turn on ESPN, I see this man talking on somebody's podcast or somebody's show.
Does have a nice mustache though.
Yeah, from one
Think that
mustache.
factors in at all?
I mean, I feel like a stash, gives you the confidence you need. It's honestly just how full it is, though. I mean, mine connects now finally. Something I used to pray for nightly, but yeah, enough talk about mustaches. I'm taking Derrick Henry to score a tutty here. That's my only bet for this game.
Holmes?
Like you said, Mondo, the Falcons have not been that great on the road. Desmond Ritter at home is pretty much a system play at this point because he's undefeated at home in college in the NFL. We talked about that stat a few weeks ago. But really, I think I'm going to ride the Titans to get an outright win here. Plus 115 at home on the money line. I'm pretty sure Will Levis is actually going to be starting this game. And last week, I bet on the Bears with an undrafted quarterback to get a win against the Raiders, and he did. I think this is another one of those plays where I think the Titans could definitely pull one out here. The Falcons are not that great of a team, especially on the road. I'm not trusting Ritter or that offense. I think Will Levis could have a decent game here. It's not like he has to do anything too special. Hand it off to Derrick Henry, make a few passes, maybe throw a touchdown or two. I can see the Titans definitely getting a win here in a low scoring game. That's crazy that your over-under is at 42.5. I'm down to 35 on my book. It's so damn low. So I
Bovada,
definitely
man.
I would ride the under if it was 42.5. Ride that, but 35, that is
I'm
shit.
sure that's gonna shift in the next 20 minutes, so I may lock
That's
that in.
awful. Yeah, you might have to. Holy shit, dude. It's a ridiculously low NFL's over under.
um,
Who's
another
next?
what?
No, I was just said who's next, like that meme. The who's next?
Okay, Gary. Jags at Steelers is actually going to be a great matchup. The Jags have been an absolute wagon on the road, 3-0. Steelers 4-2, 2-1 at home. I think this is one of those games that like can't really bet against Tomlin here. He's at home. It's against the Jags. Spread's only -2. Like I'm kind of just leaning into that Steelers hype train a little bit. Eh, like I'm not really sure, but I think I'll end up taking Steelers when it's all said and done. There's just something about it. It's like you can't really bet against Tomlin here. He just always proves you wrong. So he's always elite as an underdog. Holmes?
That's fair. I will probably lean that the same way. I think this is another spot where I want to take a home dog for plus money, plus 105. I could see myself riding the Steelers here in this game. Their offense looks a lot different with Deontay Johnson. And last week when he came back, they just looked so much more efficient.
They're
I mean, Kenny
electric.
Pickett was finding him, finding Pickens. They were moving down the field. They were looking nice against a pretty decent Rams defense. They've been a little bit better than we expected. And so I think the Steelers coming back home here, I think this is a good spot for them to get a win. As decent as the Jags have looked so far this season, I definitely think it'll be close, but I'm willing to take the value for the Steelers to get an outright win here at home.
All right, Gare.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip it around and take the Jags spread here. I think T-Law has been cooking, and I hope he keeps cooking because it would be interesting to see, T-Law potentially come up in that Super Bowl contention. I would like to see it for the kid. I think he's a great athlete, a great quarterback, pretty smart. And also just like looking at the Steelers like wins, yes, they are wins. You cannot discount a win because it is a win. But all of them have been within 7 points. So do I think that the Steelers can keep up with the Jags? Yes. Do I think they will beat the Jags? No. So I'm going to take Jacksonville here for the spread.
Okay. Saints at Colts. Saints are favored by 1, over under 43.5. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't know what's going on with Bovada, but it's showing me Kamara over under 3.5 receptions. I'm gonna
Mash that,
definitely
dude.
hammer that over. I don't
Have to
know
mash that.
what's going on today, but we'll take that with ease, I guess.
Yeah.
I really don't care about either team. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really watched them too much into detail, especially after AR went down. Minshew's been kind of steadying the ship a little bit, but they've been absolutely horrible at home. It's basically a pick 'em, so I would take a money line either way. I wouldn't take the points at all. But I'll send it to you, Hart.
Yeah, if I'm picking a winner, I'll probably leaning the Colts here, just because that super emotional game last week, super high scoring with the Browns. I think they end up getting a win over a very very struggling Saints team right now. But like you said, dude, we're mashing Kamara over receptions until he busts, man. That has to be an auto bet right now with how much Derek Carr is literally targeting Alvin Kamara every game. I'm at over 4.5 for -165. So it's still really, really juicy. Um, the value could be a lot better. I mean, I would take over 5.5 for -120 if they had that, but I'm only sitting at 4.5 right now. But I am definitely on Kamara over receptions. I don't think there's any way you can't not do that right now.
Mm-hmm. Gare?
Yeah. Good points. Yeah, the Colts kind of fell out of my brain once AR got injured, to keep it a buck. I mean, I loved watching AR play when he was in college, and he was even more electric in the NFL. Um, but like both these teams are kind of just mid. I think they're kind of, playing at the same speed this season. Um, I don't know why. This is one of those Gary gut feelings. But I like a Derek Carr interception this game. I don't know why. Take it or leave it. Derek Carr interception.
I respect
That's
that.
all. This.
I love an interception
Um,
prop.
onto the MetLife matchup, also known as the Poop Bowl. Jets versus Giants. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I am staying as far away from this game as I possibly can. I do not recommend betting it at all. That is just my personal opinion. I don't know how these guys feel. These games can tend to be super unpredictable, especially with both teams in the shitter like this. I don't think a line truly favors either team, even though it has the Jets -3. Over under, once again, don't really know how I feel. I would just stay away from this game. If I had to pick a winner, I would probably take the Giants. I think that they're due for a game. But once again, I'm staying away from this. So, Gare, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I like Giants or not Giants, sorry. Jets spread here. The Giants just fucking suck. Any way you put it, it doesn't really matter if they have 2 wins on the season. I just think the Jets are the better team here. Zach Wilson has been doing amazing these past few games. I mean, we can't say amazing, but he's been doing a lot better than how he started the season. And then you have talks about Aaron Rodgers apparently being healthy. Obviously not enough to play, but he's mobile, which is pretty big. So I think if the Jets want to keep it pushing and actually have a shot at a postseason with Rodgers playing, I think they need to win here. So I'm going to take the Jets -3.
All right. Obviously, we got a little time constraint today. Holmes got to leave right after this segment. So we're going to get as many of these done as we can. Kind of sucks there's no bye weeks this week, but Eagles
know,
at
right?
Commanders is actually going to be a battle this week. Eagles are 6-1, but the Commanders always play them tough. Philly's only favored by 7 points, over under 43.5. Hurts has not looked that good this year, despite the fact that his receivers do and his running back does. I'm kind of favoring Hurts INT this game. I just don't trust him. I think he's going to turn the ball over again, but I'll send it down to one of you. So
I'm on the same boat. Hurts INT for sure. Commanders always play the Eagles close. You just said it. So I am going to keep it plain and simple. I'm taking the Commanders +7.5 here. I think the value is there to keep it within a touchdown, especially at home. I like the Commanders to do something wonky, maybe even pull out a weird win here.
Gare?
Not too much to say about this game, but I do like the Hurts interception pick. I think that's a good one. I'm going to lock that one in.
All right. On a lone 405 game, Browns at Seahawks. Both teams 4-2 this year. Seahawks favored by 3.5, over under 37.5. I really think that this is going to be an over game. I don't think the Browns defense is truthfully as good as they think. I mean, they came off that barn burner last week. Seahawks are due for a big game. Kenneth Walker, I mean, he's just been electric this year. So I see him keeping it up, probably an anytime touchdown this week. But yeah, I'll probably take the Seahawks in this game, especially with probably no Deshaun Watson again this week. So that's where I'm sitting. Gare?
Yeah, I like the Seahawks spread for this game. I also like the over for this game. I think both teams have been putting up some pretty sizable numbers. But both of their defenses are kind of lacking. So I think, those factors combined, I could see it going to a potentially high scoring game. So I'm going to take Seahawks spread and I'm going to take the over.
Holmes?
Yeah, I'm with you guys on the Seahawks. I'm gonna take that spread as well. I think there's a letdown spot for the Browns this week coming into Seattle. Pretty tough environment to play. I'm gonna go the other way though. I do think the under is gonna come in here. I'm gonna take it. I hate the number at 37.5. I might tease it up a couple points and take the under. But I think actually the defenses will be a lot better this time around. I think Seattle's defense is actually not too bad. They got some rookies and some young pieces, but I just don't believe in PJ Walker, man. Like, I don't really think he's going to do a whole lot in Seattle. I think he's going to get roughed up a bunch. And then on the Brown side of things, I am never going to discount Myles Garrett, man. That guy looks like the defensive player of the year so far. Might get to Geno for a few plays, disrupt the game. So I'm going to go the other way. I think the under may come in this game.
All right, on to the 425 window. Chiefs at Broncos. Chiefs only favored by 7 points, over under 47. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Travis Kelce only has 4 touchdowns this year. Pencil him in for an anytime TD this week. I think it's a guarantee. Regardless if fucking Taylor Swift's there or not. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. I'm not really leaning one way or another. Probably going to take the under here. I just don't see the Broncos putting up enough points to cover that. But that's where I'm at. Holmes?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs to cover here. I like the 7 points. I think they could have played a lot better than they did the first time around on Thursday Night Football against the Broncos. I think that gives them a little bit of an incentive here to really put it on the Broncos, a divisional opponent, and have a nice game. I'll also take Russell Wilson to throw a pick at minus 120. That value is very nice, especially with how great the Chiefs' defenses look this year.
Care?
Yeah, I like Kansas City spread for this game simply because the Broncos are trash. But it is going to be a chilly one in Colorado this weekend. So I do like the under. I don't know. I feel like people are going to be moving slower than they usually are. It's just getting to that time of the year where, you're going to start seeing the little hand warmers out. And I like that football. And then I also like Mondo said, the Kelce touchdown. I think he's due. He's been getting really close. But they're kind of just using him right now to move up the field. So I like to see them finish him and take him into the end zone for a tutty.
Nice.
Yep. Ravens at Cardinals. Ravens favored by 9.5, over under 44.5. Ravens looked absolutely incredible that last week. Absolutely stomped on the Lions. I don't think the Cardinals have a chance here. With that being said, over under at 44.5, probably taking the under here. That's just kind of where I'm leaning. But Gare, what do you think?
I like kind of a stretch pick here. I like Lamar to get a rushing touchdown. Another battle of the birds. I'm not going to make the sound this
Do
week
it.
because I'm home. I should
Do
not
it.
be. That's how loud I'm being.
Oh, boo.
Tens times in the Gowdy household. Tens times. So yeah. So I like Lamar Tutty rushing. He's going to run that ball into the end zone.
Holmes?
Yeah, I don't really have much for this game. I think the Ravens will definitely get an outright win. I don't really love the 9.5. I think they beat down the Lions so bad last week. I think this could potentially be a letdown spot against a very bad team. They might play down to the Cardinals a little bit. So I don't really love the 9.5 number. The Cardinals have been pretty what would you say, frisky at home? That's a good word for it. But the money line's too fat for me, so I don't really know if I can back anything in this game. I lean toward the under with you though, Mondo. Ravens D has been fantastic, so I think this could be a low scoring affair.
Final game of the 425 window, Bengals at 49ers. Line set 49ers -4. I'm just gonna go ahead and lock that in. I don't see why that should be that close. 49ers are 3-0 at home. Bengals are absolute cheeks on the road, 1-2. Over under set at 43.5. I'm kind of not really sitting one way or another. It depends. Who's at QB? Because Purdy's been in concussion protocol. He's been in all this shit. D-ball, I have no clue what's going on with him. So I'm still kind of hesitant to bet an over under, but I think you can easily pencil in the 4 points for San Fran. Holmes?
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from a side in this game because I can't really figure out the 49ers right now with their past 2 losses. I'm going to take the over here. I think this will be high scoring. Joe Burrow is going to get that offense cooking, I think, finally for the Bengals. And the 49ers, I think, are just going to have to keep up. As good as their defense has been, they got torched last week by the Vikings. So I can see the Bengals doing the same thing here, and 49ers are going to have to keep up that pace if they want to win.
Yeah.
McCaffrey touchdown, of course. You got to do it.
Always
Lock it in.
But I like a Joey B pick this game.
Wow.
I like calling my good old friend Jackson Bond anytime the Bengals do anything bad and just bullying him. And I haven't been able to call him in a couple weeks. So I think I like a Joey B pick here.
Nice.
Okay. Sunday night football. Bears at Chargers. Kind of a poop bowl of a matchup, not gonna lie here. Chargers favored by 8.5, over under 46.5. kind of leaning towards the under. I feel like the Chargers have just been abysmal on offense. Justin Herbert has not impressed me like he should be. He started off hot last game and then just fizzled out in the second half. Is absolutely embarrassing. On the other side, there is no QB at the Bears this weekend. It's like quite literally, it is absolutely abysmal to be a Bears fan. I'm sorry, Lip. I know you're coming off a dub, but so yeah, I may just sit back and watch this game. I really don't want to pick a side. I just want to enjoy some Sunday night football, especially off the stress of last weekend. So Holmes, what you got?
Yeah, man, I think the Chargers offense needs to find the rhythm, and I think this is the week you find the rhythm at home against a bad Bears D. I'm actually going to take their team total over 27.5. I think 4 touchdowns is definitely feasible for Herbert this week. Again, they just have not really been cooking like they should. Definitely losing Mike Williams has been a tough thing for that offense, but they got to have Josh Palmer. They got to have Quentin Johnson step up and be an actual, or I might have got that guy's name wrong. Quintez Johnson, that might be.
You're chilling.
Not sure, but they got to get that offense cooking. I like them to go over 27.5 team total. I'm not going to pick a spread here.
Garrett?
I like Chargers first half line. I think that Herbert always starts off pretty strong, and then you watch him in the fourth quarter, and you're wondering if it's just. I guess I can't say that because I would get canceled. A different person dressed up like Justin Herbert. He just doesn't play the same. But you know what? For Mr. Nick Lipinski, I'm going to keep it optimistic and take Chicago outright. Again,
Wow.
this is the third Gary gut feeling of the day. But I mean, yes, the Chargers have played a rough couple teams. They played Dallas and they played Kansas, both of which were an L. So do I think that they could potentially pull off a win here? Yes. Do I think both teams are kind of shitters? Yes. Would I like to see Chicago win? Also a yes. So I'm going to take Chicago money line, but I'm also going to take LA for the first half line.
Okay. Monday Night Football. We'll hit on this real quick. Holmes, I know you got to go. Raiders at Lions. Lions 2-1 at home. Raiders are absolutely ass on the road, 1-3. Detroit's favored by 8, over under 46. I'm going to say it. Lions have absolutely looked terrible over the past couple weeks. I think that they're due for a big game. I'm going to lock in an Amon-Ra anytime touchdown this week. I could throw Jahmyr Gibbs up there. There are rumors that David Montgomery may somehow be reviving this week. I don't think he will be, but we'll see what happens there. But Holmes will let you take it.
Yeah, man, I'm on the Lions too. This is a massive bounce back spot for them. They got swamped in Baltimore. Lions got to get a big win here at home in prime time. I love Jared Goff to go off here and absolutely torch the Raiders.
Yeah.
Here.
I like Lions spread this game for the same reasoning that Hart brought up. But I also like a Jimmy G pick. Man's at 8 interceptions on the season right now.
Nice.
They're playing at the Lions. And them boys are riding out to see their team play. So I like a Jimmy G pick here.
Good stuff.
All right. That's going to do it for the NFL preview. We are going to send it over to an ad read real quick, and then Gary and I will be back with the fantasy football corner. Just give us 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing? It's your boy Mondo here today to tell you a little bit about Open Bar. That is right. The same thing I talked about last episode. Guess what? They're back again. And you might be wondering, Mondo, what the fuck is an open bar? I'll tell you right now. Open bar was a concept that my dad and I came up with when I was moving into the fraternity house my senior year of college. Basically, we didn't have room for a full bar, so what we do, we invented one that came down from the wall. And guess what? It looked incredible. Look at the picture right here. It's the easiest thing to get. Saves you all kinds of room. Everyone loves it. Everyone uses it. You can put on dartboards, mirrors if you want to look good, whatever you want. We can build open desks that come down. So if you're a little study bird or you want to play video games, guess what? Open desk got you too. We got all kinds of products. All you have to do is reach out to cmondo at jmatinc.net, cmondo at jmattinc.net. Reach out today, customize your own bar. It will be sent out to you. It is worth the price. These things hold up long time. Telling you it is worth it. Peace. We are back. Obviously, Holmes had to go, but Gary and I think we can, hold down this fantasy football corner. What do you think, Gary? You think we got it?
I think we do.
All right. So we had a couple people DM us questions over this week. They had some questions just about who to start, who to trade, who to do this or that. So we're gonna do our best, give you some answers. And maybe we'll tweet this out on Sundays, and I can answer questions early in the morning. So we'll see. First question from Pats fan 32. He said, "All my running backs are hurt this week. All I can use is either Cam Akers or Royce Freeman off waivers. First of all, you should probably change your Twitter handle because that is a terrible name and you support a terrible team. I also think you are better off starting absolutely nobody at running back this weekend. But if you had to choose someone, I'd probably go with Cam Akers. I think he's starting to get a little bit more of the touches this week. You're not in a good situation either way. I just really don't trust Royce Freeman. I feel like that there's a loaded backfield for the Rams. I just see Cam Akers as a better option. What do you think, Gary?
I mean, I would take Cam Akers in this situation. You might get some value out of him this weekend. They're playing against Green Bay. But looking at his stats right now, the highest he's scored was against Tampa Bay with a final of 8.9 points, which is relatively low for the running back position. But I'm looking at it and people are starting him. About 20% of people are starting Cam Akers, which is kind of crazy to me. A lot of people must have some trash ass teams. But I would take Cam in this situation.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Question number 2 from Morning Chubb. I just pulled up Twitter on here so I wouldn't have to look down. He said, should I start Terry McLaurin or DK Metcalf this week? He said McLaurin's obviously got a very difficult matchup with Philly, and DK's matched up with not as good of a Cleveland secondary. Here's the deal. Scary Terry is just straight up better than DK Metcalf. I think you'd make the right decision in just starting him. I think he's been a top 20 fantasy receiver so far this season. DK Metcalf's basically been non-existent this year. That's the route I would take. If you have better options, you could always go that route, but I think Scary Terry should be the guy in your lineup this weekend. Gare?
Yeah, statistically, a lot more people are playing Terry than they are Metcalf. And that's for obvious reasons. I mean, Terry is just a better fantasy performer. He's put up double digits every single week. And the same can't be said for Metcalf. So, yes, they are playing Philly, which is tough. But I would start Terry this weekend.
All right, next question from John Williams 8. He said, I had Justin Fields this weekend. I don't have a backup quarterback. My options on the waivers are Geno, Russell Wilson, and Matt Stafford. He said, what in the hell should I do? And I quote that. Well, my friend, let me tell you. You don't really need to worry about a quarterback in fantasy football. You can plug in any QB you need to, they will perform. I think your best matchup is probably Geno Smith. I feel like that Cleveland secondary just isn't it. Russell Wilson's facing off against Kansas City. Kansas City is going to dominate time of possession. And then Stafford's against Dallas. Granted, Dallas is missing Trayvon Diggs, but they still do have a solid defense. So I think you're better off taking Geno Smith off the waiver. But again, it's kind of like a pick'em situation. You really can't go wrong here. They're all going to put up roughly the same stats in my head. So, Gary?
I would hate to be you.
No, for real.
Second of all, I'm gonna agree with Mondo in this situation. Like I'm just trying to fathom even being in your position. Mondo says that quarterbacks do perform, and they do. But some are just better than others, and I think Gino is a great play here. But I think it's important that you start looking at your trade options, because you're just in a tough situation right now. For me, sometimes quarterbacks can kind of make or break my week. For example, last night I have Josh Allen playing in one of my leagues. He put up 37, which is a considerable amount for any position, but especially the quarterback position. So I would start looking at your trade options.
Yeah. We'll do a couple more. So this one, another QB one. This guy said, I have Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud. They're both kind of projected the same. CJ's projected a little higher. He's just basically asking which one should I start. Here's the deal. Although Joe Burrow is kind of that elite QB that you keep thinking of, he's playing against San Fran. He's gotten a little healthier, but is still against one of the top defenses in the league. Stroud is matched up against a Carolina team that is absolutely abysmal. Their offense can't move the ball down the field. So it's that kind of time of possession game. I do feel like CJ Stroud's probably the better pick. He's performed better all year. And, until Joe Burrow really puts up that performance that, like, damn, I wish I had started him instead, then, you kind of hesitate with him a little bit. Gary, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow is a horrible fantasy quarterback. Just because, especially this season, he's been very inconsistent with the way he's playing. Um, but I think that's largely due to the fact that he's not fully healthy, but the Bengals don't want to accept that, so they're going to keep playing him. And CJ Stroud is actually not a bad fantasy quarterback. He's been like averaging about 20 to 25 points every week, which is not bad for the quarterback position. Joe Burrow, on the other hand, I remember I started a season with him in one of my leagues, and I think he put up like 3 points one week and like, bless you, and like
I
for the
didn't come up.
and like for the other. So I got rid of Joe pretty fast. So I would take CJ Stroud in this one.
This guy says, hey man, I'm in a dynasty league. I just got offered this trade. He said he got offered Jamar Chase and DeAndre Swift for CD Lamb and Jameer Gibbs. Brother, I mean, I would hate to be you. So here's kind of the way I look at this one. Obviously, there's a great player for Dynasty in Jameer Gibbs. But you have Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is an absolute electric factory. He's young, and we know just from the data, wide receivers tend to last longer in the NFL. So you're better off holding on to Jamar Chase. CD Lamb, we know he's good, but with Dak Prescott under center, you never know what can happen. And DeAndre Swift, like, yeah, you kind of don't know what he's going to do after this year, but he's been balling. I don't think he's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Philly's just an absolute wagon of a team, and they're going to keep feeding him. So I would stick with the guys you got. I think Chase and Swift are definitely the way to go here. But you can always evaluate if you're in a dynasty league, like they're not going anywhere, and it is what it is. But that's just kind of my take on it. So, Gare, what are you thinking?
I think you should just stick with what you got. The way I look at it is as long as Joe Burrow is in Cincinnati, Jamar is also going to be in Cincinnati. I think that's just one of those duos that will stick together till the very end. Of course, do I think Joe is going to play longer than Jamar? Yes, but that's only because of the positions they're in. But I don't know. I think that this year is kind of just a fluke year for the Bengals, and after this, they're going to kind of reevaluate what they need. And also having a big offseason for Joe Burrow to heal up is going to be huge for them. So I would just stay with what you got. Like I think you got some good players, and I don't really think there's any reason to get rid of them.
Yeah. This guy says, and this will be the last one. I don't want to keep going. He says, I have a couple injuries this week. I need a flex player. I only have D Hop and Michael Thomas available on the bench. Who should I start? D Hop's projected higher, but he hasn't performed as well as Michael Thomas. What are you thinking? So there's a couple ways of looking at this. Obviously, you're kind of fucked here. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. D Hop, although I guess Michael Thomas too, although they're both elite receivers from the past, they haven't performed well. If you had to choose someone, I'd probably go D Hop against the Falcons. They're at home. I feel like that's going to be a better matchup. Michael Thomas, you have to worry about Olave and Kamara taking touches. So it's a little bit tougher on that end. And they also face a little bit better of a defense in Indy on the road. So that's kind of why I'm sitting where I am with D Hop. And I think that's probably the way I would tell you to take it. So if you have better options on waivers, I'd look into it, maybe look into a last minute trade. But if you had to start one of those two, I'd go D Hop. Gare?
I mean, I'm looking at both of them right now. Just trying to compare. You know, the app I'm on has Thomas higher than D Hop rostered wise. But I wouldn't go based off of straight statistics all the time. I feel like, I mean, especially with me, I go with my gut a lot. Sometimes I get hurt, but sometimes it really pays off. But I think D Hop is just a seasoned veteran at this point. I mean, he's a great player. He's played for a few teams and he's balled out for all the teams he's played for. And also, I think that, I don't know. I mean, the flex position is just kind of volatile. But I think that if you want to capitalize on that position, I would take D Hop.
I agree with you there. Yeah, that'll do it for the first ever fantasy football corner. I feel like we answered those pretty well, if I do say so myself. If you guys want this to be a regular segment, leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, you can always tweet at the account at Unbettable on Twitter, send us DMs on IG, even send it to our personal accounts. We like to answer questions. We are all seasoned veterans at fantasy football. I've been playing since 2010 because I was quite literally 10 years old. So just let us know. We're always happy to answer. I'll probably tweet something out on Sunday, just being like, hey, you guys got any questions today? And then we'll go from there. But that'll do it for this episode. On behalf of Holmes, I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with everyone you know. We're trying to blow this up. I know I keep saying it, but it is true. We want this to be a full-time thing in the future. We're trying our hardest. We just need help getting the support behind it. And you guys have been doing amazing. But if you could keep sharing it, that would mean the world to us. So with that being said, we will see you guys on the next episode on Monday, where we will be debuting a brand new wheel, a punishment wheel for whichever one of us came in last place this weekend. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be hilarious. We're going to be filling out the punishment. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace.